Well, guys, how are you all? I hope all are good and well. So, friends and brother, today I bring another part of What If Dragon Ball and My Hero Academia Are Same World Part 2. And if you haven't watched Part 1, so go through my channel and watch, so thank you. It was the first day of the new school year at Ua High, and flying through the air was none other than Son Gohan, who was remembering what all his friends said after he got accepted. "I'm so proud of you, Gohan. Yay, Gohan, you did it. Good job, kiddo. Never doubted you for a second. That's amazing, Gohan. Hey, son, I heard the news. Just try not and kill your classmates. Hee hee. Why do I care? I think you know who last one was." Not only Gohan passed, but he broke the record on how many points scored in an exam, a record held by All Might. Gohan flew to a stop, landing and walking inside before giving a bit of a controlled super sprint in order to find his class. 1A. Point 1A. There. He came to a halt in front of a large door. "Okay, deep breathes, Gohan. Come on, you can do this. It's not like there's any saiyans or androids behind the door, it's just humans. Nice, friendly humans." Just before he could open the door, Gohan caught his attention. It was Izuku Midoriya running down the corridor wearing the same uniform as him. "Hey Izuku, you got in too?" Gohan said with a great big grin. "Yes, I did. Turns out there were more aspects to the exam than we thought," Izuku replied, followed by a surprise. "Hey, I recognize you too. The flying boy, Gohan, is it? And the falling boy," a very chipper voice called out, getting them to turn and see Ochako standing behind them, wearing the same uniform they were wearing, except she had a navy blue skirt, a pink backpack and brown shoes on. Almost immediately, Gohan smiled while Izuku jumped back in shock. "Oh my gosh, it's really her. She looks good in that uniform." Izuku suddenly blushed at that last sentence before he covered his face with his arms. "Oh hey, you got in too," Izuku said to Uraraka whilst his face turned bright pink. "Yep. But wow, I didn't know you had that much power. That punch was amazing." "You were like pow," she replied, going on with herself. "Well, I guess you can call me a one-punch man, hee hee," Midoriya tried joking. The three stood in awkward silence. Somewhere in Japan, Achu, a bold-headed man, sneezed. "Master. Are you alright? Is it a virus?" A blonde-haired male cyborg questioned. "I am fine, Genos. Calm down," the Capt boldly replied. "I believe we may be under attack. I shall incinerate the area so all the viruses are destroyed," the cyborg stated. "Genos, I am fine. It was just a sneeze and you can't just incinerate a supermarket," the bold man replied frustratedly. Back at UA, "Okay, behind this door are our future classmates, and because they are Class 1A and Class 1B who do hero course, that means there's a 50% chance we get classed up with the blue guy or even Gulp Kachan," Izuku said whilst having two bad images of both in his head, making him shake. Gohan also stood still thinking about the Saiyans and androids also made him nervous. "Okay, guess I'll go in first," Uraraka said whilst looking confused at the two boys as she slid open the door. "It's the first day and you're already disrespecting this academy by scuffing school property, you cretin." "Oh no," Izuku thought as he seen the male with glasses from before said to Katsuki Bakugo, who just gave him a cocky smirk while keeping his feet on a desk. "You're kidding me, right? Your old school put a stick up your ass, or were you born like that?" Bakugo asked rudely. Izuku began to panic noticing Katsuki is in his class. "Man, you can't catch a break, huh?" Gohan said down to Izuku. Izuku just stood there as his forehead slightly turned blue. "Let's start over. I'm Tenya Lita from the Same Private Academy." The blue-haired male, now identified as Tenya, said. "Same, huh? So you must think you're better than me. I'm gonna have fun tearing you a new one. You would threaten me, your own classmate. Are you sure you're in the right place?" Bakugo simply scoffed before he noticed a certain group standing in the doorway, something Tenya also caught. "It's him." Tenya suddenly stared surprised, followed by the whole class. He saw two people he believed were more better than him. "You. Who, me?" Gohan and Deku said in unison. "Well, both of you actually," Iida replied. He began to speak to Gohan first. "You're the one who made the top score on the entrance exam. I am Lita Tenya, and I must apologize for my behavior towards you. Obviously, someone who was able to glean the true point of the test must embody what it means to be a hero." Iida said, bowing down to him and giving out a handshake towards the half-saiyan. Sure enough, the entire class was staring at him. Some with wonder, others with envy, and Bakugo with relentless fury. The class erupted with comments. Wait, that's the guy who beat the record. So manly. Wait, what? Wonder what his quirk is. You. Bakugo growled as he got out of his seat. The sheer malice that came from that single word was enough to get the rest of the class attention. He charged straight towards the saiyan and greenette, with pure fury in his eyes. Izuku flinched into a cowering pose, as he thought Bakugo was after him, but he actually went after the spiky-haired teen. Who do you think you are taking first place, huh? It was supposed to be me. He yelled, grabbing Gohan by the collar. Izuku was horrified to see his new UA friend already be targeted by his old bully. He felt partially guilty for no reason. He felt like he needed to help Gohan, but he removed all that doubt in seconds. Let's see this quirk of yours. See how it compares to my explosions. The ash blonde continued, can you let go off me? I don't want my clothes to get tattered after the first day. Gohan removed his hand like it was nothing. Whilst the commotion between the two top scorers was going on, Tenya next moved on to Midoriya. Midoriya, you realized that there was something more to the practical exam, didn't you? Wah, what? You must be very perceptive, and I completely misjudged you. I admit, as a student, you're far superior to me. I find that hard to believe. As Izuku's sweat dropped at Tenya's praise, Gohan just kept smiling. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to me like that? Bakugo continues to scream in Gohan's face, who is flat out confused, the ego on this guy. Can you stop it? It's the first day and you've already scuffed school property and trying to fight your new classmates. That is not expected from UA students. Tenya gets in between Bakugo and Gohan, separating them. It was good timing as well. It was clear Gohan was getting ticked off by his new classmates' piss-poor attitude. What do you think we're doing today besides orientation? I wonder what our teachers are like. I can't wait to meet everybody. Uraraka said excitedly towards Izuku. If you're just here to make friends, then you can pack up your stuff now. A deep voice called out from the bag as a mess of black hair popped out of it, much to Gohan's surprise. Everyone else slowly turned around to see a man with messy, shoulder-length black hair that partially hangs in front of his face and, often half-opened black eyes, as if he just got out of bed. Welcome to UA's hero course. Opening the bag a little, the man pulled out a pouch of juice before drinking it dry, much to their shock. What is that thing? Izuku, Gohan, Ochako and Tenya all had quite scared, shocked expressions looking down to the bag. The man stood up before opening the rest of the sleeping bag, allowing his long-sleeved shirt and matching pants that tuck into his boots, as well as his utility belt and scarf to be seen. It took 8 seconds before you all shut up. That's not gonna work, time is precious. Rational students would understand that. Judging by his power level, I can tell he's at least a pro hero, but I've never seen him before. Is he new? Gohan thought, looking at the man closely. If you have time to study a person, then you might make it far on your own, kid. As if reading his mind, the older man glanced at Gohan, who kept his calm demeanor. Sorry sir, but are you our teacher by any chance? If he is our teacher, why does he look so worn out? Izuku thought as the man looked at the rest of the class. Hello, I am Shota Aizawa. Your teacher. This got a shocked gasp from everyone aside from Gohan. It wasn't that fact that the guy was their teacher, but rather Gohan actually calling it beforehand. Aizawa picked up his sleeping bag before folding it and pulling out a blue tracksuit with small hints of white and red. Let's get started. Put these on and head outside. Sometime later, what? A quirk assessment test. In a large open field on the left of UA High, the students of Class 1 could be seen standing near the gymnasium, wearing the tracksuits Aizawa gave them. But what about orientation? We're gonna miss it. Ochako pointed out. If you really wanna make the big leagues, you can't waste time on pointless ceremonies. Aizawa said, not even looking at the brunette. Out of everyone in the class, Gohan understood this better than anyone. But still, balancing learning and training is essential for us if we're ever going to be pro heroes, right? Kyoka Jiro called out, getting Aizawa to glance at her. You're not wrong, Jiro, but that's not how I see it. Here in UA, we're not tethered to traditions. That means that I get to run my class however I see fit. To say the students were a bit surprised by his statement would be a bit of an understatement. Most of their lives we centered around learning in the traditionally sense, and while some agreed with Aizawa, even they thought it was be important to learn now and then through books. You've been using standardized tests most of your lives, but you never got to use your quirks in physical exams before. Reaching into his pocket, Aizawa pulled out his phone, which showed a list of requirements for a physical test. The countries still trying to pretend we're all created equal by not letting those with the most power excel. It's not rational. One day, the Ministry of Education will learn. Reaching into his pocket, Aizawa pulled out what looked like a small blue capsule with the number 22 on the side. Clicking the top, he threw it to the side, causing it to open with a small pop as smoke appeared. When it died out, everyone was surprised to see a large metal box with a large amount of baseballs inside. Wow, that's Capsule Corp tech. So cool, Kirishima said in amazement. Man, UA's got some strong connections. Said Sato. What looked like a permanent grin added. Gohan, you managed to get over 100 points on the entrance exam. The highest anyone's ever received. This of course got everyone to look at the black-haired male in pure shock, even Bakugo of all people. What? Shoto Todoroki, a student with half his hair white, the other red, he had a scar on his left eye, and after hearing the news, he gazed at Gohan more intently. Yeah, I guess you're right. Gohan admitted while scratching the back of his neck. Everyone calm down. To get the points he stayed consistent, he was swift and didn't slow down. Unlike some people. For some reason, Aizawa glanced at Izuku, who sweated nervously. Anyways, what was your farthest distance throw with a softball when you were in junior high? Oh I never really went to junior high. Huh, okay. Now everyone was completely baffled by this revelation. Not only did this guy get more points than all of them combined, but he didn't even go to junior high. Dude, how did you even get in? Kaminari asked. Well, I was homeschooled most of my life, so I never went to preschool or kindergarten. Actually, this is the first school I've ever gone to. Look, it doesn't matter. Everyone looked at Aizawa, who seemed indifferent at the reveal. His score on both the practical and written tests were at the top of the charts, so it doesn't matter where he came from. Grabbing one of the balls, Aizawa threw it at Gohan, who caught it with ease. Now, I want you to throw this with your quirk. Despite what happened, Gohan still smiled and walked up to a large white circle. Anything goes, just stay in the circle. Go on, don't waste time. Okay, got it. Gohan turned his body and began calculating the distance he had in order to throw the ball. He said anything goes, and firing a ki blast might blow up the ball. Well, I guess I'll just have to throw it. As Gohan got his pitch ready, Tenya leaned towards Izuku. Tell me, Midoriya, what is your friend's quirk? Tenya asked, getting Izuku to shock his head. I have no idea. But still, flashbacks of Gohan blasts the robots with his ki and then flying in the air to catch Izuku appeared in his mind. Could his quirk be used for more than a fence, like a dual quirk? Quirk marriage is possible, so maybe his father uses the lasers while his mother can fly. Maybe, but there could be another possibility. Here we go. With a deep breath, Gohan pulled his right arm back before moving it forward, slamming his foot on the ground before throwing the ball. However, instead of a normal throw, the ball was literally launched in the air like a bullet from a sniper. Small sonic booms trailed behind the ball as it kept going further and further away from the others. Speaking of the others, they literally jaw-dropped. Everyone froze and had the exact same expression on their faces, extremely widespread eyes, jaws that were practically touching the ground. Bakugo's left would twitch dramatically as well. Shoji used all 6 of his tentacles to create jaw-dropped mouths. At the amount of force Gohan had put behind his throw, even Aizawa widened his eyes a little bit, dropping his phone in the process. But the most shocking part of all, was the fact the ball still kept going further and further away, to the point they saw a twinkle in the sky. Holy shit. Yup, that was the only word that can sum up what everyone was thinking after seeing Gohan throw the ball. Was that good enough, Mr. Aizawa? Gohan asked with a smile as the teacher regained his composure and looked at his phone, only to see that the ball was still going. Yeah, it was. You can go back to the others. Nodding, Gohan walked back to his fellow students, who all still had the shocked expression as Aizawa watched him closely. What kind of quirk is that? I can see why All Might's interested in him, Gohan, that was incredible. An all too familiar voice called out to the side. Gohan turned and smiled at the sight of a pair of floating clothes. Hey Toru, you made it too. Of course I made it, you had any doubt? Toru teased, getting a nervous laugh from Gohan. But still, that throw was beyond cool. Was that your quirk? Yo, you could say that. Regardless, that was an impressive throw. A much more mature female voice called out as Gohan turned. He was greeted to the sight of a teenage girl with a tall curvaceous figure, cat-shaped onyx-colored eyes and long black hair tied into a spiky ponytail with bangs on the right side of her face. The girl smiled a bit at him. Your quirk must be powerful. I don't really think so, but thanks. He then stuck his hand out with a smile. I am Gohan, by the way. The girl looked at his hand before shaking it. Hello Gohan. I am Momo Yaoyorozu, it's a pleasure. Listen up, all of you need to know your maximum capabilities. Aizawa noticed the ball finally drop before looking at his class, showing the distance Gohan had thrown his ball, which was over 20,000 meters. It's the most rational way of figuring out your potential as a pro hero, 2,761 meters. Okay, maybe it would have helped Gohan if he held back a bit more, just so he wouldn't have all the attention. Whoa, you gotta be kidding me. Mineta said in disbelief. I wanna go, that looks like fun. Mina Ishido. So this looks fun, huh? Everyone was surprised at how cold Aizawa sounded. You have 3 years here to become a hero. You think it's all gonna be games and playtime? Much to their shock, Aizawa grinned a bit. Idiots. Today you'll compete in 8 physical tests to gauge your potential. Whoever comes in last had none, and will be expelled immediately. Huh, everyone, even Gohan was shocked at the conditions of the physical tests. Man, and I thought Piccolo was tough. Kami look out. Achoo. Out of nowhere, Piccolo let out a sneeze, breaking his concentration. Is something wrong, Piccolo? Dend, the Earth's guardian, asked with some concern. Yeah, but it felt like someone was talking about me. Piccolo said before closing his eyes again. Back at UA, excuse me sir, but that's too extreme. Uraraka said to the teacher. Oh, and how's that Ms. Uraraka? We've all worked hard to come to this school, yet you're saying that the last person who finishes the tests is expelled. No offense sir, but I doubt you have the power to do that. Maybe you would be right in your old school but. Moving his hair back, Aizawa gave a grin that would fit in the psychopath category. Like I said, this is my class and I can run it however I see fit. If that's a problem, you can head home right now, got it? Gulping, the girl stepped back a little. And no sir. Oh crap, 8 tests. Izuku thought as he looked at his hand. I can only use one for all by breaking my bones. I can't control it all the way. A huge test on the first day of school, what the hell am I gonna do? The world is full of unfairness. It's a hero's job to try to combat that unfairness. If you wanna be a pro, you're gonna have to push yourself to the brink. For the next 3 years, UA will throw one terrible hardship after another at you. So go beyond, plus ultra style. Show me it's no mistake that you're here. Though most of the class were nervous, a few like Gohan and Momo knew there was a hidden meaning behind Aizawa's words. Dad and Piccolo taught me to bring out my full potential. And while I haven't really fought for a long time, Gohan clenched his fist before giving a determined expression. I know I can keep going further. Time to blow these nerds away. Bakugo thought while rolling his arm and glancing at Gohan. Especially that bastard. Now then, we're just wasting time by talking. Let the games begin. Test 150-meter dash on 2 separate white lines. Tenya Iida and Suyu Asui got into running position as a measuring device spoke up. Runners, on your marks. Ready. Both students got ready to run before the robot fired a gun in the air. Almost immediately, Tenya rushed forward at high speed while the girl hopped forward like a frog. 3.04 seconds. As Lita dashed past the line. 5.06 seconds. As the girl crossed the finish line, Lita looked at the line. Ready, the robot said as Izuku and Bakugo got into running positions. Yet another gunshot was made in the air as Izuku and Bakugo began to run as Aizawa watched closely. Sometimes pros have to be creative in order to succeed. Growling in anger, Bakugo opened both of his hands while putting them behind his back. Burst speed. Several small explosions erupted from his palms, increasing his speed and allowing him to finish. 4.13 seconds. 7.02 seconds. Bakugo stopped his explosions before looking at his hands. My quirk has the most uses out of everyone in this school. 1.6 seconds. The next score caught Bakugo's attention as he and the others looked in shock as the runner who got the fastest score was Gohan. Glad I'm getting used my power again. Gohan muttered to himself while cracking his neck, getting a scowl from Bakugo. That guy. Okay, don't panic Izuku. Izuku thought while panting. There are still 7 more tests. Everyone's gonna be using their quirks on all of them and getting awesome results. So, what do I do? Okay, I need to control my quirk if I'm ever gonna pass. I can do this. Test 2. Grip strength. The next test was the grip strength. Zero praised Shoji for hitting 540 kilograms on the grip machine. Gohan gave it a squeeze, and before he knew it, the bar in his hand was crushed, with a reading of 1456 kilograms. No way. Zero shouted. As small as you are, you're gripping over 1,000 pounds. Hagakure added, well, I think the machine broke before I could finish squeezing. Gohan said modestly. What the hell is this kid? Multiple people shouted. Come on, it's not that big of a deal. Gohan said modestly while rubbing the back of his neck. That guy. Bakugo thought in anger while squeezing his own device, getting 175 kilograms. Test 3. Long jump. The third test. Long jumps. Gohan tried to suppress his ki to keep himself from flying, managing to jump the longest distance with over 23 meters reached. Wow, incredible, Tsuyu Asui said in amazement whilst she only scored 15 meters, second in the class. Test 4. Sidesteps. Mineta, using his balls, bounced off them to get a score of 137. Wow, all the girls said in unison, ladies, there's enough Mineta to go around, what the fuck. The girls weren't amazed at Mineta, but at Gohan, who was moving at supersonic speed, creating afterimages that the cameras barely caught, and his score was too high for the computer to process. Test 5. Ball throw. Like with Gohan, the rest of the students were allowed to throw their balls and see how far they can go using their quirks. The first one up was Ochako, who smiled before using her quirk on her ball and throwing it, causing it to slowly float into the air, higher and higher until it was nowhere to be seen. Aizawa looked at his phone before showing it to everyone, revealing the infinite symbol. Unknown to them, the symbol of peace, All Might was secretly watching Izuku and the rest for 2 reasons. 1. Izuku is his predecessor and he didn't want Aizawa to single him out. 2. There was something about Son Gohan that intrigued him. Infinity. Dang, looks like you lost your title, my friend. Zero said while patting on Gohan's back, getting him to chuckle. It's fine. I doubt I could throw it any further. Gohan said, completely lying. If he had gone Super Saiyan, over even to Super Saiyan 2, he could have thrown it across the damn planet, multiple times. But showing off was not one of his traits, and he was glad that there were quirks that outshined his own abilities. That's insane. How is that even possible? Sato shouted in shock. Okay Bakugo, you're up. Right. Bakugo said before picking up a ball and proceeded to the pitcher's circle. As he was walked forward, he brushed past Gohan, scowling at him as he stepped into the white circle. Damn, that guy has a serious problem with both you and Midoriya. Mina Ishido, standing directly behind Gohan, whispered in his ear. Tell me about it, Gohan replied, keeping his voice low. All he does is just glare at us. I don't even know the guy. This is bad, I've gotta come up with some kind of a game plan. Izuku thought as Bakugo began to throw the ball. Die. Bakugo throws the ball, followed with an explosion. The travels at an extraordinary speed and gets a score of 705.2 meters. Damn it, Bakugo shouts in frustration, not even close. How am I supposed to get 2,000 meters? He walks back to the group. Deku, you're the last one to throw. Hurry the fuck up so he can expel you. Bakugo said, giving both Midoriya and Gohan a pissed-off glare. As he went to grab his ball, he looked at the crowd, most just giving him a watchful expression while others like Gohan and Ochako gave him a smile of encouragement. Getting into the pitcher's circle, Izuku looked at the ball in his hand, the only chance he had to pass. All that's left is this, the distance run, sit-ups and the seated toe touch. It's now or never. This is my best chance to use one for all. If Midoriya doesn't shape up soon, he's the one going home. Tenya said with his arms crossed. Huh, of course he is. Deku's a quirkless loser, Bakugo said, much to their surprise. He has a quirk. Did you not hear about what he did in the entrance exam? Huh, it's true, we saw it. Shoji called out as he walked up to them. Lita continued on. He took down one of those huge robots in one shot. Izuku, I am proud of you, son. Young man, you too can be a hero. Honestly, I'm proud. The words of his mother, All Might and even Gohan rang in the head of Izuku as he closed his eyes, pulling his arm back. With deep concentration, he began to focus one for all into his arm, something Gohan and Aizawa noticed. Izuku, can you really control your power? Gohan thought in a serious tone. However, before Izuku could let go of the ball, Gohan felt his power turn off. Once Izuku threw the ball, it landed a good 46 meters away. Wait, his power just vanished. How did? Suddenly feeling a strange power behind him, Gohan turned around and widened his eyes as he saw Aizawa glaring at Izuku, his normally black eyes turning red, emitting some kind of energy. What gives? I was trying to use it just now. I erased your quirk. Before anyone could act, Aizawa's scarf suddenly opened up, floating around him like tentacles. The judges for this exam were not rational enough. Someone like you should not be allowed to enroll at this school. Wait, you did what now? Izuku gasped as he saw a pair of yellow goggles around his teacher's neck. Those goggles, I know you. You can look at someone and cancel out their powers. The Erasure Hero, Eraserhead. Huh, Eraser. Who's that? Hey guys, you know who he is? Gohan asked Tenya and Ochako, who shook their heads. I am afraid not even I have heard of him. Same here. Eraserhead isn't known by a lot of people because he works under the radar. Todoroki called out, much to everyone's surprise as Aizawa glared down at Izuku. You're not ready. You don't have control over your power. Izuku gasped as Eraserhead continued. Were you planning to break your bones again? Counting on someone else to save your useless body? No, that's not what I was trying to do. Suddenly, Eraserhead's scarf wrapped around Izuku, pulling him close. No matter what your intentions are, you would be nothing more than a liability in battle. You have the same reckless passion as another overzealous hero I know. One who saved 1,000 people by himself and became a legend. But even with that drive, you're worthless if you can only throw a single punch before breaking down. Sorry Midoriya. With your power, there's no way you can become a hero. Closing his eyes, Aizawa released Izuku before his eyes turned back to black. There's something up. He might sound strict, but he does want Izuku to learn. From all his lessons with Piccolo and his father, Gohan could tell how a strict teacher acts and why they do. If Eraserhead is anything like Piccolo, then he might be able to bring Izuku's potential out. I returned your impractical quirk. Take your final throw. Hurry and get it over with. Hopefully our teacher gave him some good advice. Bakugo just looked at his old bully victim with uninterest. Probably told him to start packing. I wouldn't count Izuku out yet. The two turned to Gohan. He might not look like it, but I can tell Izuku's got a lot of potential buried deep inside. I have faith that he'll pull through. Tenya smiled at his encouragement while Bakugo just scoffed. I've only got one shot at nailing it, so what am I gonna do? Come on Izuku, you can do it. As Gohan mentally cheered Izuku on, the green hair boy looked at the ball once again. I still can't control my power, but I can't just give up either. Do I let the egg explode? It might be my only shot at staying at UA. I have to try something, no matter what the consequences are. Grabbing the ball with both hands, Izuku pulled back and prepared to pitch. A waste of a quirk. Aizawa thought in disappointment as he saw Izuku remove his left hand from the ball, showing that he was gonna do a right pitch. Mr. Aizawa was right about what he said. If I can't control my quirk, there's no way I'll ever be a hero. Aizawa, Gohan and a certain blonde far from the group gasped as they saw what Izuku was doing. Hey, is he doing what I think he's doing? All Might said in shock. I have to work way harder than everyone else here if I wanna succeed. Izuku's finger suddenly began to glow. Even if I have a lot to learn, I'll focus on what I can do right now. Smash. Using as much as his power as he could, Izuku threw the ball with enough force to literally launch in the air, sending large amounts of wind on the ground. Everyone else gasped in pure shock, though Gohan still smiled at his friend. It hurts. But not as bad as before. Izuku's index finger were red and swollen, yet he still had a full functional hand. Aizawa grinned as he saw Izuku's throwing distance, which was 710.9 meters. Mr. Aizawa. The teacher looked at Izuku, who despite being pain, smiled at him. You see, I'm still standing. This kid. I see. So by focusing his power on his finger, he lowers the chance of destroying himself. Gohan thought, still smiling. Good one, Izuku. He threw it over 700 meter. Nice. He's finally showing us his true power. Ochako shouted with her hands up. But his finger's broken. Iida said. It wasn't a very pretty throw. Aizawa said, dissatisfied. Bakugo gaped in pure shock. What the hell was that? Bakugo thought in shock. First the nerd, then round face, and now Deku beat me. If he had a quirk, he would have gotten it when we were kids. This is impossible. He's up to something. A deep growl escaped Bakugo's lips as small explosions escaped his palms. I'm getting to the bottom of this. With that, he charged at Izuku. Hey, Deku, you bastard. Tell me how you did that, or you're dead. Izuku screamed in shock, but just as he was a few feet away, Aizawa's bandages came flying towards Bakugo, capturing him and keeping a hold. Wow, how are these so strong? Bakugo said whilst glancing at Aizawa. He tried to break free but to no avail. It also didn't help that his quirk was deactivated as well. Because it is a weapon for capture made of carbon fiber woven together with metal wire made of a special olive hue. It'd be wise to avoid making me use my quirk so much. It gives me serious dry eye. Whoever's next, step up. Gohan and Izuku began to walk towards their friends, who instantly began to compliment them. Geez, Midoriya, didn't think you had it in you. Kaminari said with a smirk. Your finger gonna be okay. Yeah, it just needs some ice. As they kept talking, Bakugo glanced at them, glaring with pure hate. Until the exam, he was nothing. A little bug I could crush if I wanted to. Just an annoying bug. He then looked at Gohan, who was laughing nervously as some of the others tried to ask what his quirk could do. And that bastard. Test 6. Sit-ups. Every stood there gobsmacked as they couldn't believe their eyes. Gohan was currently doing continuous sit-ups without breaking a sweat. Everybody had long stopped doing their sets. Izuku lasted pretty well to others, even with a broken finger. Bakugo tried to keep up with him, but it was too much for him and he was forced to stop as his body could not go on. Damn it, he thought. Gohan wasn't aware of any of this as he was deep in his thoughts. After a couple of more minutes, Aizawa decided that he's seen enough. Alright, Gohan, you can stop now. You've shown enough, I'll put you in the number 1 spot for this activity. Aizawa said as he looked at his phone and put everybody in their spots for the sit-ups test. Huh, Gohan said as he looked up to see everybody staring at him. He blushed in embarrassment as he rubbed the back of his head nervously. Guess I kind of spaced out, huh? Test 7. Seated toe touch. Due to Gohan's high pain tolerance and strong hamstring muscles, he was able to stretch the longest distance. Gohan wasn't one of the biggest people in the class, but he wasn't no midget. One would think that his size and strength would prevent him from being able to be as flexible as he is, but all the training in Gohan's life made sure during their training that he was as fast and agile as he is strong. This allowed him to be flexible so that villains wouldn't be able to exploit that kind of weakness. Whoa, this guy is a beast, Ojiro said, amazed at how flexible Gohan is. Indeed. His skills are above our own, Fumikage Tokiyami replied. Okay, just one more test and we're done. Gohan said as he prepared for the next trial. Test 8. Long distance run. After about 15 minutes, they were still running around the field where Gohan and Momo. Since Gohan had only been using small percents of his power or natural strength throughout all of the tests, he had plenty of stamina left, so he was easily able to keep running after everyone else who already tired themselves out. Minutes. The only 2 people Momo Yaoyarozo was still there was because she created a bicycle that allowed her to easily keep up with Gohan. You're kidding, you and create anything. That's an awesome quirk, Gohan said as Momo caught up with him. Thanks. But how in the world are you able to keep on running like that? Aren't you tired? Momo asked in between breaths as she began sweating. Gohan shook his head, not really. I've trained practically every day, hours upon hours for years. So an exercise like this is really second nature for me. After that, 15 more minutes passed and Momo was forced to stop as her legs couldn't keep on pedaling forever. After Gohan stopped running, the entire class waited patiently for the results. Sometime later, all right, time to give you your results. I've ranked you all from best to worst. You should probably have a good idea of your standing already. I'll just pull up the list. Izuku began to squirm nervously in the background, his already damaged finger hurting even more now. It wasn't until he felt a hand on his shoulder, revealing a smiling Gohan. Hey, don't worry Izuku. I'm sure you did everything you could. Gohan said, trying to encourage his friend. I know, but I also know I'm probably going home. Izuku said in a defeated tone. A screen appeared behind Aizawa, showing everyone's score. 1. Son Gohan 2. Momo Yaoyorozu 3. Shoto Todoroki 4. Katsuki Bakugo 5. Tenya Lita 6. Fumikage Tokiyami 7. Mezzo Shoji 8. Masharao Ojiro 9. Eijiro Kirishima 10. Mina Ishido 11. Ochako Uraraka 12. Koji Koda 13. Rikido Sato 14. Suyu Asui 15. Yuga Aoyama 16. Honta Siro 17. Denki Kaminari 18. Kyoka Jiro 19. Toru Hagakuri 20. Minoru Mineta 21. Izuku Midoriya, rice bowl. Bakugo asked, wrinkling his nose in amusement. Who the hell is that? It's pronounced Gohan, Gohan said with a chuckle. Poof oof. Ha 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 ha. Bakugo fell into a fit of mocking laughter. Rice bowl. Seriously. Your parents actually thought that would be a great name for a kid. Rice bowl. Actually, I was named after my grandpa Gohan. He was a great martial artist in his day. Okay, whatever you say, rice bowl, Bakugo laughed, elated that he had discovered a new way of making fun of Gohan. Opening his eyes, Izuku began to scan the board, trying to find his name, until he found it, at the bottom. I'm in last place. I failed. Gohan couldn't help but give his friend a sympathetic look. He did his best, especially in the ball throw, yet it proved to worth nothing. And I was lying, no one's going home. Wait, what? All the students look at Aizawa, who gave a broad grin. That was just a rational deception to make sure you gave it your all in the tests. Huh. I am surprised the rest of you didn't figure that. I'm sorry. I guess I probably should have said something. Momo said with a very small hint of guilt in her voice, getting a chuckle from Gohan. Yeah, you should have, Kaminari, Jiro and Mineta thought in unison whilst looking at the female. Even I didn't know he was lying. Well, at least everyone's staying. That was nerve-wracking, huh? Siro asked the redhead, who was known as Eijiro Kirishima, who smirked slightly. Nah, I'm always up for a challenge. Kirishima said confidently, though Bakugo just scoffed, annoyed at the fact Izuku wasn't getting kicked out. That's it for today. Pick up a syllabus in the classroom. Read it over before tomorrow morning. Izuku let out a deep sigh, happy that his first day didn't go to shit. However, before he could relax, Aizawa walked up to him with a piece of paper. Midoriya, take this and go have the old lady fix you up. Things are gonna be tougher tomorrow, when your actual training begins. Make sure you're prepared. With that, the erasure hero walked away. Managed to make it through the first day. Izuku looked at the paper his teacher gave him. But there was so much I completely failed at. I started at the bottom, which means I've still got a whole lot to learn. If I'm gonna achieve my dream, Aizawa, you liar. Oh, good morning All Might. So you were watching. You got too much time on your hands. Aizawa said as he passed by All Might when he was on his way back inside. A rational deception, you said. Haha, nice joke, but April Fool's was last week. You punished a whole class of last year's first years with expulsion. You cut those you judged to be without hesitation. For a man like that to take back his words, that must be because you also felt it too right. Izuku Midoriya's raw potential. All Might bellowed as he pointed at Aizawa. Aizawa began to have a suspicious look on his face as a knowing smirk appeared on his face, also. You seem to be supporting him quite a bit. Is it too far-fetched to say that maybe you have been giving young Midoriya a little favoritism? All Might widened his eyes as he realized his mistake. Crap. I need to be more careful with the way I speak about young Midoriya towards others. Is that how a teacher should be acting? Aizawa started to walk away, but he decided to say one last thing before he and All Might parted ways. It's true what you say. He does have an enormous amount of potential. But potential will only get you so far in this world. Execution is what matters. There are still many things he needs to learn in order for him to become a pro hero. First off, he needs to control that quirk of his. I will always cut those without potential. There's nothing crueler than letting a dream end midway. So you're being kind in your own way, huh, Aizawa? Sigh, I guess we don't really get along after all. An hour later, after gathering their syllabuses, the students of Class UA either began to make their way home, or just hang out with one another. So tired. And then there was Izuku Midoriya, who was walking across the walkway like a very slow zombie. He found out that Recovery Girl's quirk only worked if he still had stamina, and luckily he did, but while his finger was fixed, he felt like he was gonna pass out any minute. All he wanted to do was go home and just fall on his bed for 8 hours, maybe 10, maybe forever. However, before he could keep going, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Hey Izuku. Turning around, Izuku was shocked to see the person calling him out was none other than Gohan, who gave him a friendly smile. Hey there Gohan, what's up? Izuku said, suddenly getting all his energy back. Nothing. I just wanted to see if your finger's okay. Gohan said with a very small hint of concern. The injury wasn't life-threatening by any means, but it could still bother his finger if he was right-handed. It's doing fine, thanks to Recovery Girl. To prove his point, Izuku raised his bandaged finger at Gohan. That's good, and that was some seriously good moves you pulled in the tests. Hearing this, Izuku lowered his head. No, it wasn't. I barely got third in the distance throw, and the rest I completely bombed. If Mr. Aizawa had been serious about dropping me, I doubt he would have actually done it. Gohan cut off Izuku, who looked at him curiously. Mr. Aizawa reminds me of a friend who trained me when I was a kid. He was tough and didn't hold anything back on me. A nostalgia smile appeared on Gohan's face as he remembered the early days of his training with Piccolo. But deep down, I know he was doing it so I could learn and become stronger, and that's what Mr. Aizawa did for you. He then reached out and put a hand on his shoulder. I might not know what your quirk can do, about after seeing it twice, I can tell that if you keep training and push yourself, you'll be a great hero. You really think so? Squeezing his shoulder slightly, Gohan looked at him with a warm smile. I know you can. To say he was happy with what Gohan was saying would be a complete understatement. Izuku felt so inspired to keep going, especially after seeing the amount of power Gohan had during the tests. If he kept pushing himself and learning more about his new quirk, maybe, one day he could surpass All Might. A big smile crept on Izuku's face before he bowed his head and Gohan. Thanks Gohan. Come on, no need to thank me. I told you before, just be the best hero you can be. His words got Izuku to smile again. Hey, wait up you two. The two males turned to see Ochako running up with them, waving her hand. Hey Ochako, something up. The brown-haired girl stopped just a foot behind them, smiling. I just wanted to know if you guys were going to the station too. If you are, I wanted to know if I could join you guys. Both males looked at each other before smiling. Sure, thanks, and that was a seriously cool throw Deku. Huh. The girl tilted her head at Izuku's reaction. Yeah, didn't Bakugo call you that? I thought Izuku was something Gohan called you, like a nickname. Actually Ochako, Izuku is his real name. The green-haired male moved his hands left and right while looking nervous. Yeah, Deku's what Kachan calls me to make fun of me. A frown appeared on Gohan's face. He had heard others being called names, like Frieza calling him his dad and Vegeta monkeys just cause they had tails. But to hear a fellow classmate make fun of his friend was downright wrong. Seeing her mistake, Ochako scratched the back of her head. Oh, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. She then perked up while clenched her fist. You know what? I like Deku. It could make a great hero name. Plus I think it sounds kinda cute. Suddenly, Izuku's whole face turned red as he spoke without thinking. Deku it is. Huh. Gohan suddenly hopped to the side a bit with his arms hanging from the side. Didn't you say Deku was meant to make fun of you? Izuku covered his face and hid it. Paradigm shift. My whole world is upside down. Wait, what? Oshako's eyes turned to small black dots as a large question mark appeared over her head. Blinking a bit, Gohan's lips began to twitch before he let out a loud laugh, getting confused looks from his two friends before they eventually began to join him in his laughter. If this is how UA is, I think I'm gonna like it. As the trio began to walk towards the train station, with Gohan walking with both hands behind his head, just like his father. They failed to notice a certain explosion using male scowling at them while leaning against a tree. Deku, and that rice bowl bastard with him. They're up to something, Bakugo thought before squeezing his fist. One way or the other, it'll crush them like bugs. Well guys, this is the end of part 2, What If Dragon Ball and My Hero Academia Are Same World, so if you like my fanfiction story, I will make one more part of story, or more unique fanfiction story, so well guys, if you haven't liked my video please, like, share, comment or subscribe to my for more updated videos, so thanks again.